in the health hour this morning, saying hello to the lovely Madonna, who danced her feet off last Saturday night
I
at Bay
did.
FM's 25th birthday party. How are you this morning?
That was
Feeling
so
a bit
much
better?
fun. Oh, had a ball. Great
Yeah,
fun.
It was a great night, all right.
It certainly was. So this morning we've got a few things going on. I've got Carmel here this morning who's going to talk about challenges. You know, we had Marusha last week and she was talking about how fantastically her pregnancy's been going. And,
Yes.
and even though it took her a while to fall pregnant, it's just been clockwork, the pregnancy.
Yeah, she's doing well.
So I thought I'd chat to someone who didn't quite have exactly the same perfect experience. So welcome, Carmel.
Hi there.
And then we're going to have a little chat with Lawrence Katsaris, who's the technical manager at Metagenics, and he's going to be chatting about dementia and some of the really positive research going on, and then we'll chat about how we can help these things. So, Carmel, so it took you a little while to fall. So firstly, fertility. Did you have specific fertility issues that were diagnosed or found or anything?
No, we both look good on paper.
Right. Yeah.
But because when we started in England, we were over 35.
Yes.
That was automatically put us in geriatric by the time we moved to Australia.
Yep.
I was then over 40, so it was a much longer process. So, so my age and a slightly high BMI were two things that just upset the medical faculties.
Yeah.
The apple cart.
Yeah, absolutely. So how long did it take for you to fall pregnant?
I think all up it was about 8 years from start,
Yeah.
sort of going off.
Because we were saying to Marusha last week, it really is considered quite normal 2 years these days to fall because there's so many factors going in with stress and cortisol and lifestyles, and women just aren't sitting at home, twiddling their thumbs looking after the health. You had quite a high-pressure job once you got here to Australia as well.
Yeah, so in England I had management in a school doing special needs, and when I came to Australia I was managing a large number childcare centre with a number of staff, so yeah.
So no stress at all?
No, it was a walk in the park, nothing like not being able to fall pregnant and working with pregnant mothers and children every day.
So you did do some intervention to fall pregnant?
We did we kind of looked at sort of natural sort of ways. We looked at drugs, we looked at lifestyle, we looked at food, exercise, and we kind of did a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's often the way to go. Like even some of the research shows that just losing 5 to 7 kilos can increase your fertility by about 20%. So, but what do the drugs do? They don't help with the old weight, do they?
Well, no. Over every IVF cycle we did, I put on 5 to 10 kilos. And then at the end of each cycle, I then had to lose the 5 to 10 kilos, which didn't work because I wasn't allowed to exercise to make myself sweat. So it became quite a cycle, and I'm still trying to lose that IVF weight.
Yeah, I think it's sort of been found as well because the IVF drugs, fantastic that they create little human beings, but they are quite toxic. So therefore, it can be that your liver and kidneys are really struggling with that detox, and we can store it in our fat mass, which is why we can put on so much weight during those times. Not a lot of fun, but yes, it's a challenge. So then, as a 40-year-old mother, how old?
Sterling is 3 now, so he's just had his 3rd birthday, and I've worked full time since he was 6 months old.
Yep.
So yeah, it's really hard.
So compared to 20-year-olds having kids, how do you think a 40-year-old goes recovering after a child these days? Would you consider yourself quite average? When you look at your friends who are having kids as well, do you think you're sort of quite average with how you've recovered, how you haven't recovered, whether or not you've got your bounce back, those sort of things?
Well, I work still in the industry with childcare, and a lot of the mothers that were in the centre with me were pregnant, so we now have children the same age. They certainly look a lot more relaxed than I do some days. They've bounced back a lot better than me, but at the same thing, I still work a long week.
Yeah.
So I still, I'm very tired, and it's affecting other aspects now that, we're looking into as well. So it's hard work.
Yeah. Have there been any, because you've often had inflammatory things in your past, so things like hay fever, sinus, arthritis, that sort of thing. So do you think that did you feel like that impacted on your fertility or your ability to bounce back, or has that been aggravated since having Sterling?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure. I know my sinuses are a lot worse, but I also live in Sydney.
Right.
And I find that the pollen and that is different in Sydney to Brisbane as well.
Yeah.
And that actually changes the way that works. But certainly arthritis.
So you find that different pollutants create different sort of hay fever sinus symptoms or signs, or?
Absolutely, and my ability to use different drugs. I've not been able to use some because they actually have made me sick, whereas before pregnancy and IVF, I could use different things, and I'm a lot more susceptible to catch a lot more than I used to. So I'm not. Yeah.
Not as robust as you used to be.
No, 25 years in the industry, I was always pretty, get out of bed and go to work, and I'm hit a lot harder these days.
Yeah. Okay. So for people who, so obviously you wouldn't have done it any other way because you've got Sterling, everything's good, he's adorable. Is there anything that if you had thinking back over it, because 8 years is a long time to try and fall pregnant, is there anything now in hindsight, and I know hindsight is useless for you right here and now, that you might have changed throughout the process?
For a lot of people that I spoke to, I'd often say to them, lose the weight as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Do it before you start.
Yeah.
Because
you used to do really well on things like Dukan, didn't you? Things that were really high protein and cutting those big carbs and sugars out of your diet.
I found that worked a lot better for me. Also, I'm also a person who has to exercise to maintain my weight.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that a lot harder with a 3-year-old who doesn't sleep.
Hubby being out of the country half the time.
Yeah, so we have a lot of sleep issues in our house for adults and children. And I've got to say that, there's all sorts of parts of the relationship that could be worked on.
So let's hope for a 10 out of 10 in all those departments next year. Cool. So we might have a quick break, Paul J, and then we'll come back and have a chat with Lawrence.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea to me. 100.3 Bay FM, it's 11:20.